Welcome to the Escapade podcast. My name is Stuart, and as ever, thank you for listening. I've just come back from Doomsday, which is a convention in the UK held in Whitby, the original setting for Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it is the most amazing, thought-provoking and entertaining weekend convention I go to that possibly I could even describe. I'm just going to keep it very short with this because there was just too much going on to explain, and I don't want to miss anyone out. Equally, I don't want to offend anyone by an accidental omission. What I will say is the Hex Factor competition this year, which was a stage competition, was absolutely flawless. It was an honour to be in the presence of all the people involved. And the winner was Robert Dahlstrom, and although I didn't get to see his performance because I was in the wings and all I could hear was the crowd and his act, it was flawless. And normally I'm a little bit because I didn't win. I have no problem losing to this man, and I have no problem coming last out of the company I was in. Although, to be fair, I don't know where I finished. All we know is who won. What I will leave you with is every single one of those performers did not miss a beat. It was all beautifully weighted, fantastic performances from every single one of them. So to even be on stage and associated with that group of performers of all ages, it was an absolute honour. And I will doff my highwayman cap to them because they were wonderful people both on stage and behind it. So thanks everyone. Now that was just the Hex Factor, which was one element of the entire convention. And to have a lecture from Professor Todd Landham, to sit through technical information from Dan Baines, and to hear so many wonderful stories and meet so many like-minded people, it was absolutely fantastic. And if you have any interest in mind reading, any interest in mentalism, any interest in the macabre or the more spectral, I would say spiritual, but that infers something else, the more sort of ghostly, ghouly elements of the art form of magic, then please do make some inquiries about Doomsday next year, because even if you're only slightly interested, you will find something there that will appeal. Also, I would be remiss if I did not pay tribute to the man who kicked off the event with a fantastic performance, as he's done the last 3 years, which is of course Dr. Diablo. Hats off to you, sir. Fantastic performance yet again, and a special shout out to your accompanying troupe of performers, Miss Electra, Serpentina, the Broken Doll, fantastic. Also Bloody Bones, first time I've seen him perform, and absolutely petrified me, and that's saying something given how often I've accidentally injured myself. That doesn't say his act is unsafe, quite the reverse. To see a true performer perform those effects as flawlessly as he did was absolutely brilliant. So to all three of you, my congratulations, my thanks, and my wonderment, because it was absolutely brilliant. So it was a 2-day event, which we were there, but we were in Whitby for 4 because we wanted to get there just before and just stayed just after. But one of the things that did stick in my mind, for obvious reasons, was I'm minding my own business on Friday evening, and suddenly I get a tap on the shoulder, and I'm asked would I like to look at a straitjacket. Now, people say, oh yeah, well this was a brand new straitjacket, and there's two schools of thought when you're challenged One is to politely decline because you weren't prepared. The other is to accept it under certain caveats. I accepted the challenge under a few caveats, but more importantly, because this was someone's unique pride and joy, they had put a lot of effort into it. I'm one of those people that doesn't like taking liberties. If someone has entrusted you with something, you don't go out to destroy it. You don't go out of your way to break it, because they've put a lot there's a lot of their love gone into that. There's a lot of their soul poured into it. So normally, if it's just a jacket you can purchase on eBay or something along those lines, you can take a few liberties with it. You can give it a bit of a welly. This one, because I was asked so nicely and because of the location, I found myself in a situation where I was very much reluctant to cause any damage to it. You know, you could conceivably, if you're in your own straitjacket, you can take liberties. I could have if I was in a regulation posy, I'd have thrown myself around the room like an absolute demented idiot. If I was in that, I probably would have leapt over the bar, throwing myself over the bar into some sort of convulsing heap, trying to break the straps. But as it's the sort if someone lends you their car, you don't go off and try and qualify for the Indy 500 in it. You just treat it with respect. So for the first time in my life, I did a straitjacket escape as part of a close-up magic routine. Now, for those of you not familiar with magical terms and are just listening to this because you're a friend of mine, that's the sort of thing where you're standing still at the table. That's where the magician comes over while you're eating your dinner and say, "Would you like to see a card trick?" And some of you are very polite and say yes. Most of you are honest and say, "No, I'm eating my pudding. How can you not time this better?" So I'm in that context. So in front of a table, in front of a whole load of magicians and sideshow performers, I'm put in a straitjacket and I have to get out, realistically, without moving that much, which is pretty much the complete polar opposite of how you're meant to do an escape, because you need to move. So all I'll say is a bit battered and bruised right now, but it was a wonderful experience for me. It was a wonderful thing to do, and I will doff my cap to Alan Taylor and Rebecca Taylor for giving me the opportunity to be in their jacket. I hope I didn't take any liberties with it, but more impressively, the room were very kind and gave a very good round of applause, because we were able to recreate, for the best part, the escape from the classic Tony Curtis film, Houdini, where Houdini is challenged to get out of a straitjacket, and he's surrounded by other people throwing themselves around the room in their jackets. He, on the other hand, stays perfectly still. And I was always curious if it would be possible to do that, and I did it. It's something I can work on, but I will doff my cap to the quality and the work that went into the jacket that I was put in by Alan and Rebecca. Hats off to you guys. That is a work of art. It is absolutely beautiful. And if you ever make another, do let me know. On that note, having waffled on a bit, it's time for me to do a bit of an outrageous plug. I've been away for a few weeks. That sounds incredibly dodgy, but the reason I've been busy is because I've been working on something. And this all goes back to the UKA meeting back in March, when 2 or 3 people, mainly Andy Robertson, who has just had a fantastic art exhibition in Scotland, and I cannot praise his work enough. If you know anybody who runs any sort of cultural event, anything like that, and you're looking for something different, please get in touch with Andy. The quality of the display he put on was absolutely brilliant, and I'm humbled that he was kind enough to put some of my art up, but my art, to be honest with you, my art paled into insignificance next to what was there. And what was there was quality stuff, fantastic storytelling. The great Weasel Dandor put on a couple of exhibition demonstrations when he was up there, and he put on some demonstrations and did some public-facing talks, and I have nothing but praise for those two, especially for Andy for putting it on, for the people who went to support, and I'm just gutted I couldn't be there. Huge praise for them for that. What has delayed me away from real life and domestic issues, not domestic as in domestic, but just real life household issues, has been that I'm writing a book. Yes, I know some of you have been subjected to my earlier attempts at writing, and yes, it's just as bad, but this is my recollection, my reminiscences of my 12 World Records. And the reason I've done it is because I don't actually remember, or I didn't have time when I was setting the records to actually enjoy them, because there's a lot of effort goes in behind the scenes beforehand, because you get a set of rules and you look at them and go, fine, and then you find sub-clause 37 that immediately tells you you've been lifting the weight the wrong way for 6 months of training, or there's a specific type of requirement that the handcuff has to be a certain type or presented in a certain way, and you've got a set period of time, you've got to work with it, and you've got to manipulate it in a certain manner. And there is, these change your plans. You've then got to present it in a way for the audience, and that is difficult. And it also is very distracting. When you climb up a mountain, you're looking at the cliff face and occasionally looking sideways, but you're focused on not falling off. It's only when you reach the very top and you pause and look around that you suddenly go, wow, that was a great view. I'm not saying I'm at the top, but I am saying that now's the time for me to pause and look at the view. So the book is very short reminiscences. Hopefully it won't degenerate into I woke up, brushed my teeth, did this, did that. But hopefully before we finish the first draft, it's about 2,000 words short. It's going to be a lot. It's one of those little books you see on people's coffee tables or in doctor's surgery. So please feel free to have a read. When it becomes available, I will be promoting it to death. And then we'll go on and do the next one, and the next one after that. But that is what has been distracting me for a few weeks. Also, and I'm going to put this plug out now, only a few people know this, and I think I'm going to announce it in two closed forums I'm part of, out of respect for those people there, and then this podcast will go live. So it will be on those two forums first, but this will be out this week. And basically it's this. I'm taking part in something organised by the Magical Research Group, which produced the Journal of Performance Magic, which is an academic journal. And before everyone starts panicking and going, oh my god, blatant exposure, no. The one rule is that you don't talk about how the trick is performed, or how the illusion is performed, or how the escape is performed. You talk about the impact of that performance. I'm taking part in what's known as the magic. I'm going to pronounce this, and I'm not going to edit out me stumbling over how to pronounce this. So, shout out to Professor Todd Landon. Thank you for giving me an unpronounceable name. It is, pause, and here comes an edit point, the Magiculum. I'll say that one more time. It's called the Magiculum. This is take 47, in case anyone wants to know. But it's taking place at the University of Huddersfield. And that is on Saturday the 10th of June. And it's in the Sir Patrick Stuart building. There will be a link in the description for this podcast. But it's an absolute honour to come along and talk. The title, as for what I'm talking about, is Magic and Escapology, the Paradox. And it is a discussion point over the impact of magic and escapology. So unlike the event that anyone has Saturday off and is in the Huddersfield area, please come along. Tickets are free. The link will take you to the registration on Eventbrite. And if you want to take part in a discussion, please feel free to be there. On the other side, again, so between the book and trying to do something a little bit more academic, I've been a bit busy. Also, again, nothing but praise to everyone at the UKEA for their hard work over the whole year, to everyone at Doomsday for their work, and big shout out to Cliff, who is organising the convention next year in the United States. Really keen to go, Cliff. I'm looking forward to being there. I'm going to put pen to paper and write something for you. It's just purely been looking back on my own work has made me look back and go, yeah, in a good way, but it's been that sort of, there are just so many people I need to thank, and so many people who I just want to say thank you to, and I can only do it really by group. So thank you to everyone at Doomsday, thank you to everyone at the UKEA, thank you to everyone at the IBM, at the Circle, thank you to the other groups that have reached out. I know you're secret organisations, or wish to pretend you're secret organisations, but thank you for reaching out. And thank you to everyone I've met, not only at Doomsday and these other places, but big shout out to Oliver Table, Magic at the Barn, Mystic Mick, Southend Sorcerers, for giving me my first foot into the world of magic, aside from watching Jonathan Creek and heckling. And finally, to you guys for listening. Big respect. And again, I'll close it again. Guys, everyone from the Hex Factor, you were flawless. And just to be on the stage with you was my honour. And I mean that. And that's it. That's the podcast for another week, or however long it takes me to do this. Oh yeah, one last thing. I'm after this, the first book, I will be doing a book on pan rolling, and so the professional title is Panning for Gold, or How One Modern Artist Produced Performance Art in Front of Beleaguered Celebrities. I think it's at the other heading, but either way, it's an absolute privilege to have been at Doomsday and at a lot of the conventions this year, including the Sci-Fi Ball. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be impressed and happy with what I've seen. That's it. Normally we play music out, but I'm just going to leave it with me sounding content and not self-effacing for once. And thank you for the miles and for the privilege. And thank you for listening. That's it. That's the podcast. Have a wonderful day.